Yes, ladies and gentlemen, it is indeed Friday night, and it is that time once again to get that Friday feeling. And my God, do we certainly need it after the week that Celtic have put us through. Thanks for that one, boys. But yes, as you can see tonight, I'm not joined by David Logue. He's not able to make it tonight. But look at this, Mark couldn't make it for TNF last night, but I've got him here. Signed an exclusive deal to appear on the Friday feeling tonight. The judge is here. This is the place to be. Marc Cairney. How you doing, mate? Not been on a Friday night in a wee while, my man.
I know, normally I'm pretty drunk and probably sleeping by now or halfway through a kebab, so it's good to be sober for one Friday night. It's good to join you and the coolest guy in Canada, Liam, just below me there.
Yes, indeed, because yes, he is back. It's been probably over a month since we've seen Liam on, but he is here. And interesting enough, I think Alistair Johnson's forum has dipped in the time that you've been away, Liam. So hopefully you're a good luck charm for Alistair Johnson. He can find his forum again. But yeah, the wise man in the bus, my usual Friday night colleague, because it's not the same on a Friday night when it's not me and Liam, but here he is. How you doing, Liam? Been a while.
Brilliant, good. I know. I mean, last time I spoke, Scotland hadn't qualified for a Euro. We hadn't played. I don't think we played any champion games yet.
Maybe. Wow.
But Christ, don't know what we're going to start talking about.
Yeah, there's a lot to catch up on, mate. But no, it's good to see you again, mate. You're looking well, and yeah, as I say, it's been quite a while, so it's good to see you back, man. I think people are starting to ask questions of where the wise man is. Don't worry, Canada's favourite Tim, he's right here, exclusive to the Bhoys bus as well. But of course, before we go any further, folks, I just remind all the people watching, of course, hit that subscribe button if you haven't done so yet. Keep us in your lives that a little bit longer. Hit the bell notification. You'll be reminded when the bus gets on the road. Of course, hit that like button. Helps us out in the old algorithms on YouTube because YouTube will push a more active channel. So likes obviously help that massively. Of course, get involved in our comment section tonight and also comments below the video afterwards if you wish as well. We've had some interesting feedback in the last 24 hours. David Logue got it a bit tight. Stand with David Logue. Don't you worry about that. What else happened as well? Yes, of course, you can share the link in the Bhoys bus far and wide. And of course, head over to piesports.com, use the code BUS1888 to tell them that the bus sent you. Get yourself 12.5% off your order. With all that said and done, yes, Friday feeling. We will get started as we normally do on Friday night. I will look ahead to the game because yeah, we have got an SPFL game coming up, something to quickly, hopefully cleanse the system after a turbulent game through the week, shall we say. Tuesday night it was, and the funny thing is, obviously I was on TNF last night. I talked about the sort of apathy that I had watching it. And again, it wasn't even a surprise because I just felt like I've read this before. And of course, this man at my side here, Mark, you've been preaching it since the start of the season about you could see this coming. You've been very, very consistent in your views about European football. And I believe Liam has also echoed that at times as well. If the board aren't taking it seriously, then why should we take it seriously? And yeah, what we saw on Tuesday night was just a continuation of what we've seen, the deterioration over the last few years. And yeah, it was obviously it couldn't have started any worse, Mark, with giving away a goal inside 5 minutes when you head the ball right to Antoine Griezmann. And then the red card happened, and it was just an uphill struggle from there. I don't know how much of the game you end up watching in the end, Mark. I wouldn't blame you if you turned it off after a certain number of goals. I know a few fans out there did. I did manage to stick it out, but even when like the fifth and sixth one are flying in, I just wasn't even reacting. I wasn't even like angry and shouting stuff or anything. I was just kind of like, and I hate being that way. I hate the sort of apathy of it, but that's what it's done to us. That really is, and we're not surprised, are we?
Well, apathy is how I describe it, Phil. You know what I mean? It's like you're no in the room. You know what I mean? You want Celtic to do the very best they can possibly be, but as you said, if the board don't want to back the club, then why should we back the board? I just think a win or even another couple of points the rest of this campaign would give the board some sort of self-justification for how close we got, but just not quite close enough. You know what I mean? And they would probably pat themselves on the back. I said before about Postecoglou, I said about Rodgers. They got lucky, not because they spun gold out of silk. You know what I mean? It's just that we've hired good managers who've just happened to get the very, very best out of players who probably are below Celtic's calibre. I mean, they're littered throughout the team. And I turned it off as soon as David Turnbull came on the park, so I don't know whatever that was. I could handle the goals. I could stomach that, but David Turnbull coming on the Champions League, I just couldn't stomach. And I switched it off at that. But do you know something? Guys like me watching the telly, I don't really go to the away games in Europe as much. It's hard for me to get time off work, amongst other things. But I feel sorry for the folk that spend a lot of
travel
through there, mate. Because a lot of them know they've not got a ticket, but they'll just go to sample the atmosphere. And sometimes they'll maybe spend, their family holiday money to go and watch Celtic, and they get served up that pitch. They're the guys that we feel sorry for. No guys like me that watch it on telly. You know what I mean? But what a kick in the teeth that was. Did I see it coming? I actually, if you look back on the group chat, I actually said 6-0. So there you go. Somebody said what's next. I went the 6th goal, and that was
it was me. I said in the chat, I put the wee thing with the green ticks. It was like a stupid early goal, a red card. What comes next? And you just said like the 6th goal. That was only 1-0 at that point. So there you go.
And I don't like being right with some things. I would rather be brazenly wrong. I mean, but some things just you owe it to your own intelligence, don't you? I think the ball's been called into or been put in the spotlight the last couple of weeks for the wrong reasons. The real reasons are staring us at the face just now, and I'll sum them up. We've got a squad not fit enough for the Champions League. We've got a squad where we all took a sharp intake of breath at Ross County last week. Let's be fucking real here. We were doubting ourselves before kick-off at Ross County with a number of changes. And that's all the way through the squad. That goes for the backup keeper, all the way through to the backup striker. We're lacking depth. So I think that's why the ball should have been called into question, you know what I mean? And so I do back you on that. I do feel like Europe is a bit of a sideshow now. I think the biggest achievement we'll get out of Europe this season is to get through the campaign with no more drubbings and all our players fit, because the league is all that matters, Phil. And I know Russell goes on about this comfort blanket. Well, Celtic were built through this comfort blanket. Celtic won the built on European success. In Celtic's 136-year history, there's been 4 or 5 seasons, maybe 6 in total, where Celtic have had tangible, real success. So there's very, very small moments in our history that Celtic have been in the limelight in Europe and been in the forefront in Europe. I travelled through to Lisbon to see the stadium. I've got a tattoo above it near the back of my leg with the European Cup. I love our history in Europe, but it's no where we are in the world, unfortunately. Those days are gone. I mean, and even this century, I mean, Matt O'Reilly was in primary school the last time he won a group match in the Champions League. You know what I mean? And
20 years.
And you know, and even this century, I mean, you look at the most iconic moments, they've happened in a domestic scene. Larsson's chip, Tom Rodgick's goal against Aberdeen. Those are the most iconic moments. And then you get to Tony Watt's goal against Barcelona. Very, very fleeting moments in Champions League history and our European history. And I think Celtic is a Europa League team now, a Europa League club, quite honestly. We're not a super club.
Yeah.
So I think it's fair for you to be apathetic towards the Champions League, Phil, because you're not building yourself up to get beat 4-5-0 and you're kicking stones in the way to work tomorrow, you know what I mean, the next day. So just bank the money, put it in the bank and get the board with bonuses while the fans spend their fortune and be disappointed. No, for me, I'd rather just keep my eye on the league. So they beat Rangers every year. That's all that matters, because there wouldn't have been one person in Scotland got to work devastated Wednesday morning. But see if that had been a 1-0 defeat to Queen of the South in the Scottish Cup, you'd have been hiding for every Rangers fan in your work. That's the reality of Celtic.
Calling in sick mysteriously. I'm suddenly sick
That's
today.
The reality, mate. That just shows you the reality of being a Celtic supporter. Domestic football is the most important thing to any Celtic fan. Unless we become competitive in Europe and start winning matches like Rangers, we will always see Europe as a sideshow. It's as simple as that, whether you want to admit it or not.
I'll certainly line the pockets well there and certainly enjoying that element of it. But Liam, I've got a question for you, wise man, a riddle, a conundrum. Obviously, after the defeat on Tuesday night, the line was obviously pushed out about how we'll learn from this. But given our sort of business model of how we seem to, buy players and sell them and, move players on within a year, 2 years, how realistically can we learn from it if in a year's time, there's a realistic chance that a lot of the personnel in the squad will be probably different? Wouldn't be surprised if a couple of players like Katati and so on are gone this time next year. So we go to the Champions League again. We have a refresh in the summer, a few new faces in. And then when you're hearing the lines about, oh, we'll learn from this. And this isn't just a thing that's happened in the last few years. This goes back. I can remember guys like Gary Caldwell saying this after we lost to Benfica. I think they beat us 3-0 and he scored an own goal that night. And then he said in the interview at the end of the game, but we'll learn from this. Then proceeded to score another 2 own goals in Europe over the next few years. So evidently, he didn't learn from that. But yeah, the current business model that we've been in for a while about, buying players and selling them after a year, 2 years for a bit of profit. This whole idea that, this squad, they'll mature from this, they'll learn from this. Realistically, that's a birthday card pish, really, isn't it, Liam? What realistically can they learn? Because I wouldn't be surprised if there's a lot of new faces this time next year and we just find ourselves in the same sad position in Europe.
The players will definitely learn from this. The people that won't learn from this is the board, because we've got out of that again. It's like Boris Johnson politics. It's just like Trudeau. It's like any of these political wings, and this is what I see them as now, a political wing. Anytime they're in any sort of trouble, they manage to just get their way out of it. And that's what they managed to do. After Neil Lennon was sacked that season, there was still a chance to even salvage Pride that season. They never went for it. Going through what you went through with COVID, with fans being locked out and then thinking, well, you know what? Most business would, I really appreciate our fans, our customers, our support, whatever they are. But no, they didn't learn from that. You learn from, getting someone like Anjan, who was a gift that, came in and wanted to do things his way. And then whether they let him or he just took it himself, he did things his way and it achieved results. And we started seeing, for the first time in a long time, a direction the way our football club was growing. And then, we got Rodgers back in. Some say it was a step back, step sideways, whatever, but it was the best guy available there. And I thought, great, we're right in at the very beginning of the window. So we should have learned from previous windows that, we need to get our players in, kill them fast, especially if we draw Rangers really, really quick in the league. Are we in for that? Nah, don't live for that. All about getting a team settled for Europe. And we don't have to tell the board why they need a team to be settled for Europe, because one, it's a lot of money, and that helps their coefficient as well. There's no sense going in and getting barred. So, the players will learn from it. They'll learn how to play in a big game with a big crowd, with big anticipation, and see what happens when you get complacent and you take your eye off the ball. You get a scalping, and people are talking about you in podcasts, and people are talking like, fuck yeah, you really went off the ball, you really let us down. So they should learn that. But the ones that really need to learn from it, they're nowhere near it. That's the board.
Definitely that's the case. But of course, say after that drubbing on Tuesday, now we've got an SPFL game coming up. This is the last one before the next international break, which thankfully, I know, Mark, you'll be happy about this news. This is the last international break till next spring. There won't be another one until, I think, March. So we've got a long few months ahead of a lot of SPFL action. Although we do have the winter break still, don't we, in Scotland? We do have that 3-week break in January, so there will be that. But yeah, we're going into the busy November and December period, the festive time, where fixtures will be coming thick and fast. And we start this Sunday, because the game has been moved to the Sunday because Aberdeen played on Thursday night. But yeah, Aberdeen are the visitors. Probably a good game for Celtic to have, because I think I heard it on another pod as well for the week, and I totally agree with this. If Celtic had like an away day at Kilmarnock or Livy or Dundee or something, it's a bit of a, at the end of the day, they have to take every game seriously. They've got to beat all these teams to win the league. But I think Aberdeen, they provide a bit of stern opposition coming into Glasgow. And there's a home game as well, which for me always plays into our favour. When we're going to away games, there's always a wee bit of, it's on their ground, tight park, could it benefit them? But I think this is the type of game that we need to try and get that out of our system as quickly as possible. Because I don't see Aberdeen coming and sitting with 10 men behind the ball. I don't think they're one of the types of teams where it's going to be one of those absolute muck games that we've watched, not just this season, but in recent seasons, when a team comes to Glasgow, Mark, and they just show no ambition to try and win the game. I think Aberdeen will be quite open, and I think they'll give us a half-decent test, and it probably is the sort of right fixture that we need right now to try and remedy what happened on Tuesday night.
Well, I think Aberdeen were away from home on Thursday night in Europe, and it's quite difficult. My big mate in London, he's a a West Ham fan, he talks about even at that level how difficult it is to play in Europe and then play in the league a couple of days later. It's a different, the body just reacts to it a bit different. And so Aberdeen have got more adjusting than what Celtic will have. You know what I mean? Celtic are used to this 2 games a week and probably more used to more intense games. You know what I mean? And Rangers have, Aberdeen have been to, where was it? The POK?
They were playing POK, they're a Greek team.
So that's Thursday, mate, and so you probably find that their bodies will need to adjust to that more than the Celtics will. So I think the most important thing for Celtic is we're at home, you know what I mean? And we tend to have away games quite a lot after away in Europe, and I find that very difficult to understand. In fact, I bet if you look at the fixtures lists, I've not checked this. I think if you look at February, I think the Champions League starts again or Europe starts again. I bet if you look at that time, Celtic will have tough away games in that month. That must have been SFA or the SPFL just backing themselves in case Celtic qualified for the Europa League or the last 16. They would be flung into that and amongst, I don't know, Aberdeen away and Hibs away, Hearts away, you know what I mean? And really gives a tough time in the league. You check it up and I bet it's pretty accurate. And that's the thing, you know, I think Celtic are, as I say, Celtic are more used to it. And you know that now it's becoming, the squad's getting a bit thin again. I think we had the defensive crisis. We went through that and we've discovered probably our best defence didn't include anybody we bought in the window. We bought 9 players and for injuries, not one pair. To give you injuries, not one of them's probably is going to start again for Celtic. But when Palmer got injured, when Abada got injured, we found Palmer was good enough to come on and at least get a good account of himself. Well, we might find that Yang gets a few games into him if with Maeda. A few games into Yang, you might find that there's a player in there better than we thought. Because I think Palmer and Yang can both play both wings. Is that right? They can swap a bit.
I think so. Because when Palmer scored his goal against Atletico, he'd actually swapped wings with Maeda.
Yeah.
Because I think I said when I did the PMP with David that night, my initial reaction in the stadium was I thought Alistair Johnson had scored it because it came for the right-hand side. I hadn't realised that they'd switched sides. But I was like, what a finish that was for Johnson. My mate this way was like, no, it's Palmer. I just obviously just stood on the other end, so I'm at the Jockstein end. But I thought because I noticed that they swapped wings, so I was like, what a finish that was. But that's what they did in that game.
Mate,
Game they do swap.
Don't worry, I've mistaken like Colo Touré for Kieran Tierney before, so don't worry about that. My eyesight's terrible, so don't worry about that. So I'm kind of assuming, I might be wrong unless somebody can educate me. I think it's going to be Palma and Yang, and then when we go to Lazio away, you'll probably find it'll be James Forrest and Yang, you know what I mean, because of suspensions and injuries. So we might find a player. This is what happens. I said before, Hatate was never, ever, ever going to get dropped unless his legs fell off. And we might find Bernardo's all right, or at least I think Bernardo would get sent home tomorrow if his contract was up tomorrow, if a decision was made. But we found Palmer through Abada's injury, and I feel like the start 11 wasn't going to get changed unless the injuries, you know what I mean? And maybe Yang's going to get 5-6 games, and if that happens, because I can't see him start Mikey Johnston, mate. I mean, I think Mikey Johnston falls into the category you had Brendan Rodgers speaking about last week when he said there was 5, 6, 7 players who we wanted to go in summertime, but because they couldn't get them a move, they had to hold off till January, and they'll play their part if they need be. Till then, I think he's one of them. And just on that, I mean, I don't have MD else here, but what will sum up Celtic's transfer policy for me is, well, not same as the Bain stuff, the same as the 100-year contract extension for Callum McGregor. See if we pick up the papers tomorrow or Twitter or the coming weeks and we see flashing up David Turnbull 5-year contract. I think we'll know exactly what Celtics can do. It'll be the Roy Dyler days. We're just no strengthening. We'll squeeze every bit of juice out of this orange and see what happens. And I'm not entirely sure that Celtic are in that position just now because the players who were second and third choice last season are now elevated into first team places. And we're now looking at the guy who was on loan for Aberdeen last season, Scales, who I praised to the house.
Yeah.
We're looking at him as the best choice centre-back to partner Cameron Carter-Vickers, who hasn't yet hit the heights. And So Aberdeen, sorry, I'm going to a tangent there. So Aberdeen, you might find that Aberdeen are looking at the fixture list and more wary to go to Celtic Park, because in Scotland, Celtic is a wounded animal, isn't a good prospect for a team, and I'm just glad it's at home. And Celtic Park it's not like Rangers who crumble under the home atmosphere. Celtic players tend to like Celtic Park. You know what I mean? And I'm looking forward to Sunday, mate. I really are. And I feel like I've not been to a lot of home matches this season at all. But like
we haven't, to be fair, the fixture list, you talked about the fixture list earlier on. Yeah, that's been a topic of discussion a lot this season, the way the fixtures have mysteriously came out.
Well, Brendan Rodgers was misquoted by the press and off the ball.
Standard,
stupid. I mean, Motherwell and Rangers released statements regarding the Christmas fixtures. Brendan Rodgers said it's quite interesting that Celtic have faced 7 years of away fixtures on Boxing Day, which is really abnormal. But I guarantee you, this is what happens. See, next year we'll have a home fixture because he's spoken it. This is what I want to tell McGregor today. I'm fed up. I'm sick and tired of seeing Celtic getting injustices on the park. I was at a game a couple weeks ago where a guy kicked the ball at the park, clear as day, and the referee gave a throw into the other team. And Callum McGregor sprinted by. See, that's Rangers, any other team, they're in the referee's face, and Callum McGregor gives them no pressure whatsoever. And I'm fed up seeing this. Brendan Rodgers has put pressure on the beaks who make decisions. And I guarantee you Celtic are at home next season in the Boxing Day. That is a fact. That's what's going to happen. And Celtic on the park need to start putting pressure on the referees, because I don't want bias for Celtic. I just want parity. And that's all you can ask for. You know what I mean?
As Liam, seeing as you're back for it's been a wee while, we need to come to one of your favourite subjects, because Steve-O has asked in the chat. He said, Liam, talk to me about how Rid Raw, your pal Taylor, was aided and abetted by Johnston, who I alluded at the start. He's been out of form for a month since you've been away from the bus. Was equally terrible. Both sides seeing back the line, crosses in, and it will not closing their men. So, obviously, when we look at the game coming up at the weekend on the Friday, feeling, we talk about obviously players that could come in and who we think is going to start. So we'll start at the back line then and talk about Taylor and Johnston in particular. We saw Ralston get a start last week against Ross County. Me and David talked about it the Friday night, but I threw it out there as a suggestion going, Johnston's been a bit rotten recently, maybe Ralston will get a start. But I didn't have much conviction when I said it, but then he did start, and then Johnston obviously didn't have the best game. Nobody had the best of games through the week. And of course, he did set up Antoine Griezmann beautifully with a nice wee cushioned header right into Griezmann's path to volley it in. So he didn't have the best game, but he did come out after the game and talked about how brutal that game was to be in. Do you think Ralston will come back in, or do you think Johnston will keep his place? And the thing with Taylor, and we know this because Mark said that you've said at point of times about the other option is Bernabei. The only other alternative I can see regarding Taylor at the moment until we get to January, if we're going to spend and if we're going to bring another left back, is we move Liam Scales there to keep him in the team. That's the only other option. But do you think he'll surprise us with the backline selections tomorrow? Do you think we're going to see Taylor, Johnston, Scales, Carter Vickers? Or do you think a Nat Phillips might come in? Or maybe Scales will move to left back and Taylor will drop out? Or maybe Ralston will get another game under his belt?
Maybe you'll see Naroki as well. I mean, I think he's still training,
back,
getting close. I mean, I think that's the thing to do. I mean, the Greg Taylor situation, I've always said that from the beginning. So I didn't even not been watching Champions League this year because they're not serious about it. You know, not serious about Greg Taylor as a left back. I mean, it's obvious. But now you're seeing how that complacency threads through the team, because here's Johnson. Johnson's phoning it in. He's done a couple of good tracking backs where he's challenged guys for a tackle. But he's getting awful clumsy with his tackles and getting caught as well with his heels pinned to the ground, standing at that back post and not on the wrong side yet. He stands on the outside. He doesn't stand on the inside. That happened to him with our goal against Lazio. So, yeah, I think Johnston needs to get the finger out, because I see more for Ralston. Ralston didn't start off well in that game, but the more he came into it, it was that good ball of Ralston's that set up Maeda to set up for that goal. That was
the goal that got controversially disallowed. Yep.
That was a fantastic ball for Ralston. So I like that about Ralston. He can get the ball in and he can get across good crosses, and they're not always high in the air. He's got like a lot. He can go right to the line and he can ping it back. He can do it. So I think he becomes more of a threat until Johnson shows any form of form that he had when he came in. I mean, that's the thing. players get too complacent and too, oh, this is a nice wee club and it's all family. Look, I'm doing tea time with Greg, and and you become media darlings in a sense with Celtic. And he's a novelty. He's a Canadian guy, and talks like Tiger Woods and shit with that. And yeah, I'd probably buy you a Tim Hortons if he sees it's easy there. But he's not producing it on the park. So to me, he looks every bit of a Canadian player, a Canadian international left back, and plenty of them over my life, and none of them really stuck out for me. So, he needs to remember he's a Celtic player and just start fucking picking it up. As far as skills goes at left, I'd love to see him change. I'd love to see him make a go of that position. Last time he did, he scored an absolute screamer against Dundee, and I thought
he scored at Tannadice. That's right.
And again, I think what we liked about Marc Cairney in that position is because he had the athleticism and he was built. He could overpower these Scottish hammer throwers, Irish hammer throwers that they throw on, when they play against teams like, St Johnstone, Livingston and all that. And, and he's built to that, whereas Taylor's just too wee. And I think the game's moved on where we've moved away from the inverted fullbacks, and we need somebody with a bit more physicality that can help out with the amount of aerial balls that come in, and go up and actually take the ball through the defence, carry it. So I'd love to see Ralston, CCV, Narocki, Scales, see how that works.
Yeah.
Aberdeen, why not?
Yeah, well, Narocki's got to get back in because we're about to go into a 2-week international break, so chance for him to get some sort of game time tomorrow. But yeah, we'll wait and see what he produces with that one with the back line. But obviously midfield, Mark. I understand where you've come from this, and you're right to highlight it. McGregor has been under par. There's been fleeting moments this season where you felt like he's back, he's showing, the level that he is. But yeah, he seems to just drop it. But he's not going to get dropped being the club captain and that. He's probably not going to get any sort of rest. So he will be a definite starter on Sunday. Hitate's obviously out. Leaves us with the conundrum of who fills in that one. I know who you definitely don't want it to be, and to be fair, I agree with you. I'm not big on David Turnbull starting either, even though, he does pop up with goals from the edge of the area. He isn't afraid to shoot from outside the area from time to time, and sometimes we could really do with that instead of all these extra passes. But yeah, it's usually it's the pace that Turnbull brings the game down to. That seems to be the problem, because if we need our game plan under Brendan is always about passing it, keeping it moving so that the opposition tire out and have to chase the ball. Turnbull can bring the pace down a little bit, and that's his major flaw, I feel, in his game. So I would think it wouldn't be Turnbull, but then again, with what we've seen this season, Mark, with the way Brendan Rodgers has thrown Turnbull in there into games, it wouldn't even surprise me at this stage if Turnbull did get a start. Bernardo, again, I still can't make my mind up, but I do agree with what you said earlier on. If a decision was made tomorrow, if you were asking all Celtic fans, would you sign Bernardo right now based on what you've seen? I'm going to say no. There's not been enough to give us any sort of hope that he is this, coming from the Benfica's youth academy particularly, but maybe we're too blinded by what happened to Jota, where we just think, well, he must be the level of Jota. But yeah, we just haven't seen enough standout moments yet. He seems steady enough, but we haven't seen that moment where you go, oh, wow, he is a real player. He's just very much a steady hand at the moment. And of course, then there's the bold Iwata as well, who got a fleeting appearance here and there, scored his first goal for the club at Tynecastle, then seemed to disappear into the abyss again. I fully expect O'Reilly will start, but who do you think will get that third spot in the midfield alongside McGregor and O'Reilly? Or do you think O'Reilly might get dropped as well, Mark?
No, because I think he's the last maybe 4, 5, 6 weeks he's been a standout, I think, in this league. And I don't think I wouldn't be against Iwata starting, mate, because I think his goal at Tynecastle did put him back into focus a wee bit, because he was written off by most people, including myself. I'd sent him back as well to whatever universe he came from. And that the same goes with Bernardo. I'm not entirely sure what he actually does. Is the kind of guy that just calms the play down, but we don't need that. So we can't play Turnbull, because I think Turnbull, I know he scored last week, but I'm not just saying that because he scored last week, but seeing the games against a low block, you need somebody that can shoot for distance and maybe make the keeper pull off a save, win a corner kick, or pounce on rebounds, or maybe score. I'm not entirely sure you're going to get that at Celtic Park for Aberdeen. They're too adventurous for that. There will be games where Aberdeen will sit back, but I think they're too big a club and they've got too much going for them against that. They've got an aggressive manager. You know what I mean? I don't think they're going to come and put 10 behind the ball unless they're totally deteriorated squad wise for Thursday night. So the game's different, and I can't see Turnbull starting. But as you said, you never know. So I'm hoping that. To be honest with you, I want to see Mary Bernardo because if somebody asks me what type of player he is, I've genuinely not got an answer for you.
Yeah.
It's like Abelgard. I hadn't got a clue what that guy's game was or what he was like. He could sit next to me in the show on the bus and I would even know who he was. And I don't want Bernardo to go down the same road. If he's going to be sent back or he's going to be given the season to try and win a contract, let's see what he can do while Hatate's out at least. So I think you go to whoever you think is second choice behind Hatate's got to play just now. Well, we can't keep on playing musical chairs.
Yeah,
you need to stick to it. If Bernardo's your man, Bernardo plays, and if Awata your man, Awata plays. We've also enough of David Turnbull the last 3-4 years under Lennon and New Brendan that nobody's hung their hat on him, and I think there's some players that pass through Celtic, get numerous game time, score some memorable goals, score some good goals, and then they just move on, and they're kind of players. David Turnbull fits in that category. I personally don't think he's at Celtic's level. I think he's getting games for Celtic similar to some of the players you saw in the 90s because Celtic's standard of players went down rather than them rising to Celtic's level. And I think if you sold him tomorrow, he'd probably go to the mid-level championship, and that's not a Celtic. That's not a Celtic player that plays the Champions League for me or wins titles. I think he's just part of a squad. But so if you ask me, mate, I think we've got to stick to whoever the second choice is because Hatate's not coming back anytime soon. And to be quite honest with you, I'm not being convinced with Rio Hatate this season at all, mate. And this, I think it was Russell mentioned that this could be Rio Hatate's Chris Commons' second season where he just.
I remember that comparison.
And you know, and when he said that, I thought that's maybe a bit right because, to be quite honest with you, let's be honest. If Rio Hatate had been on loan, and if it was a choice to go tomorrow, you wouldn't buy him either. Based on just the games he's played this season, I love Rio Hatate. I mean, the reason why we signed him up for that big contract to sell him big in the summertime, I dare say. But so if Bernardo's got to stay, this is his one chance. He's not going to get this run of games potentially again this season. He's not going to get 5, 6, 7 games potentially play against Rangers at Celtic Park. Maybe play a couple of games, important games for Celtic before then as well. This is his chance. If he's not going to be a standout doing whatever he's supposed to be doing, then you send him back. But you've got to play him Celtic. You can't just chop and change when there's the position is there to be won by somebody. This isn't a position that players can just come in and come out. Nobody's won that position yet. You know what I mean? So fling in Bernardo. Let's see what he can do because I'm interested to see what the guy does because I've not got a clue what he does, Phil.
But I'm the exact same. See if he came up and introduced himself to me in the street, I would be like, "Oh yeah, he's Bernardo." But I'd be like, "Really?" I couldn't even tell you. Like, very nondescript right now. You know, I'm just like,
just one thing. There's a page on Twitter, and it's like they played for, and it shows you 2018. It'll show you a player, and you go, "Oh, he played for Hearts." I never knew that. He's got a look about him. He played for Celtic 10 years ago. Look about him. You know what I'm talking about?
One of these ones you'll see in 15 years' time. Name the player. You'll be like,
aye.
I can't remember who it is at the moment, but hopefully he's got a big moment coming up in him. But Liam, there's a name that's coming up in the chat, another midfielder who I keep, every time I do this show, I keep forgetting when I get to the midfield and talking about this guy. But there's a few calls for Odin Thiago Holm. What have you made of him so far? Because he's been a bit up and down. Obviously, he had the red card out in Rotterdam, which obviously saw him drop at the team for a while, and he was suspended for European games. But he has had some fleeting moments as well. He did the last time he played Aberdeen. He had a pretty decent show when he came off the bench. He did put out quite quite an interesting Instagram post with quite a controversial controversial caption on it, which kind of backfired because he did get a start the next week against Kilmarnock in the Cup and was completely invisible, sadly. Obviously, he's still young. He's like obviously in that project player tag, isn't he, right now? He's developing still. But do you think that Holm could maybe be the guy that comes into midfield? Maybe Bernardo and Holm start? Maybe O'Reilly gets a rest? Do you think, what have you made of Holm so far, Liam?
I like him. I think there's a player there. Every time I've seen him, he's got what I like in a player. He's brave. He's creative. You know, he's the bits that I've seen him do well, he's done well. Like, he's skinned a player here and there, and he's done it very, very easily, gracefully and that. Like, you can tell there's a player there. He's got good drive. I remember it was one of the games he came on last week. He took a ball for the centre line into the 18-yard line, and it looks as if he took about 3 steps. He was that much quicker than everybody around about him. So I think if you look at that sort of stuff, he's got an intensity, you know, and I know he gets sent off in Europe, but Christ, he would have been fine in Scotland. He would never get sent off for that.
Depends what shot he wears.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think he's ours. We paid good money for him.
Yeah.
I'm saying about Bernardo and that, but you have seen enough. I'd like to see what Holm can do, you know. And it's like, okay, and then Bernardo can try and show it in training, or if he gets another chance, then that's it. But yeah, I'd like to see Holm, and that might set him up for some of the European games, because they're just showcase games now. We should just be trying things now, you know. We're out.
Yeah, that's it. I know. I mean, the scary bit is, Liam, and this is the maddest. I've seen somebody tweet this through the week where they're like, as it stands right now, the scariest part is we're not officially out, and there is a possibility, and it is a very, 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 very slim one. But yeah, until it's mathematically impossible, there is still a scenario where Celtic could actually find themselves getting through. And it's like, realistically, though, what you say is right. We are effectively out. I mean, the chances of us turning it around are very, very thin. So we may as well try some new things in these last 2 games, because, I mean, we're going to have our hand forced when we go to Rome with the suspensions and injuries anyway. So we might as well throw a few other people in there. You never know. Could be the making of somebody. They could have an absolutely blinding moment, and then they've nailed themselves a place in the team going forward. You know, it could be the coming of somebody. But we won't know unless we try it, because this is the time. Unfortunately, we find ourselves in a position where we're staring down the barrel of 2 effective dead rubbers, so we may as well try some stuff. But we'll obviously talk about those games when they roll around. Lazio and Feyenoord still to come. But obviously, we'll move on to the forward line now for tomorrow, the front 3, because there's a few issues there. Maeda obviously gets sent off through the week, and then copped an injury as well. Apparently, that red card tackle that he committed also got him an injury as well, as Brendan Rodgers confirmed. So he's out for about 6-7 weeks. That'll take him up to the end of the year, essentially. So we probably won't see Maeda playing for the rest of the year. So it leaves Yang and Palmer as the winger option. So James Forrest is obviously still there as well. And I don't think... Well, James Forrest, I think, has got a chance of being in about the team. Mikey Johnston, I think, the only time, I think it just got desperate against Hibs with that one. When getting thrown on, that was just a strange moment. The thing is, a lot of fans absolutely, lost their minds about that. And I don't blame Mikey Johnston for, that performance against Hibs. He was put in that position. It wasn't his fault. This was just, again, a sign of what happened with the board's investment or lack of investment, and what Brendan Rodgers found himself having to deal with when that fixture rolled around. So again, when it comes to him, but I can't see him suddenly coming in and getting starts. I think the only time we'll see Mikey Johnston is a fleeting substitute appearance. But in terms of the wing forwards for Sunday, Mark, Yang and Palmer most likely for you, or do you think a wild James Forrest might get another start again, much like Turnbull, and the way Brendan Rodgers has behaved at times? Would you even be surprised if James Forrest turned up in the starting 11 on a Sunday?
I'd rather James McAvoy, mate, to be quite honest with you. No, I think it's quite clear that with what's left, Palmer and Yang is I think Yang has looked very creative. He's direct, at least, but he looks better off the bench. I bet Haksabanovic. Palmer, I think there's a bit of a bad in there. He's the kind of guy that pops up in good moments. You know what I mean? And I think he does the good things. But in Kyogo will be the through in the middle. You go to think Phil, haven't you? So I think we're lacking a real cutting edge in the front three. I think we've been lacking something. Dare I say it, we'll be missing Jota really badly, and Jota is hard to replace. But do you know, I was expecting a like for like quality of player, but I would like a wee bit more, you know, imagination with our replacements, and this is when it comes home to roost when you're getting suspension. To be quite honest with you, Phil, I said it in the group chat. I'll say it on here. That's good news for Celtic that made is it because a workhorse is still a horse, as I say. You know what I mean? No harm to the guy, but drive and endeavour will never ever totally replace quality, mate. You know what I mean? You've got to have all three, I suppose, but I think there comes a point where we're needing quality, mate. And if Celtic had a good enough squad, Maeda wouldn't be getting starting places, and that's a fact. You know what I mean? I think we would all admit that. He does it. He does our job for Celtic. He doesn't do that job. You know what I mean? And I think if you get into the last 15 minutes of the game, Maeda is normally burnt out. But then, you know what I mean, he's not really imaginative. He doesn't create much, and the ball bounces off him like a bouncy ball. You know what I mean? I don't really understand the argument that folk are determined that he's got to be in the team every week. Rodgers picks him every week, and I know he does, and he knows more than me, but we just need to get guys like him out the team to see what's there. See if Yang's going to be a Celtic player this season. He's got to get game time as well. If he comes in and plays one or two bad games, get him right out, and let's bring in Forrest. Let's see what happens. Let's look at different options. But we spent money on Yang. Let's see what he can do. Dyson Maeda, I've saw enough of him this select up. This is his third season, and when you're describing a player, and in the very, very first argument you've got is he works hard, then you're proving my argument, mate. It doesn't provide footballing wise. It provides nothing for the team. The odd goal aside, the ball bounces off his leg. His first touch is terrible. His second touch is terrible. His third touch is normally at the park and all. So I don't understand it. So I'm really glad that he's not going to be in the team for a while. I'm sorry he's injured, but it's a boost for us because we're going to see what's there. Same for Hatate. I thought Hatate was shite this season, so I thought if he's at the team, we're going to see what's there. And Abada didn't start the season pretty good either. So when he was injured, I thought, right, let's see what we've got, and we've got Palmer out of that. So we might find that Yang only needs game time because it's a big leap for Korean football to Celtic. You know what I mean? I dare say that the football is. I mean, I don't think you get much poorer in the Scottish Premier League. To be quite honest with you, not too much poorer, but that league is poorer. You know what I mean? So Tilio,
I've seen Tilio's name come up in the chat earlier.
Mystery. He's never need it. And if Jason Cummings can be named fucking the best player ever to play in Australia, then that just shows you how bad the Australian league is. You know what I mean? He won awards left, right, centre, player of the year, best haircut, best tattoos, best runner, best goal scorer. They couldn't wait to praise that guy. They even gave him a cap in the World Cup. So, and he was absolute dog. I mean, this is a guy that couldn't get a game for Raith Rovers or Dundee, or whatever it is. So this shows you how poor that league is. I mean, really, really, really bad. So starring in that league doesn't make you a Celtic player. So, but let's see what Yang can do. Kyogo speaks for himself. I think if the game goes 1-0 and we're comfortable, get him off the park and bring on. Oh, that's my man. Until we get to January, if we get to January, once the game's won, get Kyogo off the park and a relaxing, mate, because he is a one player Celtic can't do without, mate. I think we can cope with more or less them all as we have seen this season so far. But so front three, no full imagination, but Yang's creativity, Kyogo's eye for the goal, and Palmer and Palmer's just awareness. It's something different, and let's see what the guys can do on Saturday. Big, massive pitch, decent opponents. If you can't do it at that level at home against Aberdeen, you're not going to do it at all for Celtic. So let's give these guys a chance because they've not played badly at all. Any of the players we've mentioned, they're just not shown yet. So let's see if they can shine in the big games.
Perfect chance for them. And Liam, before we do some quick predictions and whatnot, and then we have a fun little game to end the show as I debuted last Friday, where one of you boys will be stepping up to play. So I'll let you decide that one. But O has been getting some game time recently. Scored the winning goal against St Mirren. What have you made of O? Because this has been a long running thing regarding O at the moment, and I definitely fell into this camp as well, where it's like if Kyogo gets injured, would you trust O for a long run of games? See, I thought he played all right against Ross County. I think he was doing fine. He was just unlucky with a goal getting disallowed for the slimmest of margins for that offside decision, but that's just the way VAR operates. But I think he did all right in that game. Obviously, he came on and he scored that goal. I said in regards to the St Mirren game when I was last talking about it was, with the way he's played up to now, the way that ball fell to him, the ball from home, he didn't have much time to think. It was very much a reaction, and he could easily have just like fluffed that, blazed it over the bar, whatever. But no, he finished it really, really well. And these are the things that, we want to see. As much as some of us may have been critical of O on this show and other podcasts that you've seen and all that, every Celtic fan wants these players to do well. We just need to see it happen. And when you see goals like that, you're like, this could be it. This could be the thing that could help him kick on a wee bit. So if O does get some game time going forward, but going through this December period, you're going to have to expect he's going to get a bit of game time because of the nature of the beast, Liam, with the way the fixtures mount up. Would you trust O at the moment if he was getting any time on the park?
Well, I think you have to. I mean, we need to play with Kyogo, I think, up front for the start off. But if we're at 60 minutes and we're okay and we're coasting, we're 2-0 up, let's get O on. I think the way he finished that goal was beautiful. It was a proper Roy the Rovers whoosh, right at the end of that finish, right up, a ball. I like the quality he gives up front. When you've ran around, Kogel's exhausted you and the O's going to come in and batter you a bit. But as well, he's got good feet. He's he's not bad at controlling the ball. I like him because he's brave. He doesn't mind sliding in like that disallowed goal. Those are brave balls to go in for and that, and you got hesitation putting himself in there where it hurts. So that's good. Mark, I do have one piece of good news for you today. Well, for all of it. Ryan Christie signed an extension at Bournemouth.
Oh, thank God for that. All the houses in Kilmarnock are safe. Smash Windies. What an absolute messy football player he was at Celtic. And he'll be remembered, I think, as one of the worst shot takers I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah. It's mad because the purple patch that he had when he first got his chance was incredible, because I remember him dragging us through that, because everyone talks about Brendan's third season and how the football was terrible, but see that period from about October to Christmas time, he scored in like 7 or 8 games pretty much out of like 10. But then, as time went on with Christie at Celtic, it just fell off a cliff essentially. And again, we keep coming back to it. The COVID season ended most of them sadly, and he was one of the major flops that season. He was too good enough.
That was the funny thing. He thought he was too good. Hilarious.
Aye, he was. Well, let's do a quick predictions then for Sunday. I need to remember it's Sunday that we're playing, because we're on the TV as well. A home game on Sunday. On TV, so 2:15 kickoff. But Liam, what do you think for the game then?
Score prediction,
mate.
3-1 Celtic.
3-1 Celtic. Okay, Mark, what about yourself?
2-0.
2-0, and I'll go 3-0 Celtic on that one. Right. So with that done, and it's obviously getting to the last sort of 10 minutes of the show, so let's have a wee bit of fun, guys. Last week, I debuted a new game on Friday night, as you may remember. The Bhoys bus, when it first started, Friday night was a quiz night, the Double Doom quiz, but I debuted a new one last week, sprung it on David Logue. Poor guy. He did not see it coming at all. I just told him, I've got a new segment called By the Numbers. Didn't tell him what it was, because I knew if I told him it's a quiz, he would have shat a brick, essentially, and fair play to him. He did fine. He got 4 guesses right with a higher or lower, but he only got 2 questions out of the 5 correct in the end. So it's obviously based on Bruce Forsyth's Play Your Cards Right, a game show from the mid-90s. Obviously, yes, higher or lower, remember, flips the card.
Oh, brilliant.
And then, but this time I'm using Celtic shirt numbers, and every single turn you get a question on whatever player it is. So if it comes up Henrik Larsson, then the question will be on Henrik Larsson. And then, so basically you're trying to get the guesses right and also get as many questions right. All the questions are multiple choice, by the way. There is 3 answers. So maybe me saying the answer out loud will jog your memory. But who out of the two of you wishes to step up and play this new game?
I can't play it either.
Williams nominated you, Mark. He's just like,
I'll play it. I mean, if it's squad numbers, that's the one thing in Celtic knowledge that I'm bad at. But I'll play it.
You don't need to know. You don't need to know the squad number. You just need to guess higher or lower than whatever shot it's on. If the next one's going to be higher or lower, but whatever player it is that's on the back of it, there'll be a question about said player. Right, okay. So what I'm going to do, as I did last week, I'll set up all the aesthetics like I do on Sudden Death. Let's get let's get it all back to that and get the mood right for this. I'll also put the music on as well. I didn't do the music last week as well. I felt when I watched it back, I went, something's missing. That's what's missing. The Sudden Death tension music. So I'll put that on as well. Okay, so I now need to hear my team.
There is something in the background, but it sounds like a paradiddle.
I'm not hearing it.
Aye, I've got it down low because I put it up too high, it will drown us out. It's done that in the past. There's been some malfunctions, shall I say, on Sudden Death with the music. There was one infamous episode we did where, for whatever reason, I could hear Jono and I could hear Russell. They could hear me, but the viewers couldn't hear us at all. It was mental. So, Mark, can you see on the screen the by the numbers graphic just now?
Yep.
Yeah, okay, cool. So basically I've got a bunch of shots, Celtic shots, saved pictures, right, with the numbers displayed on the back. The first one that comes up will be your starter number. You don't need to answer any questions on this one. This is just basically the starter. It could be any squad number in Celtic history. This isn't like a pack of cards where there's only 13 possible cards. It could be any number. And then you've just got to guess higher or lower. So if you get that part right, that's good. You'll get a point for that. And then you've got a question to answer on the player. So, and remember, just like in play your cards right, you don't get anything for a pair in this game. Got to keep that in mind because there is a chance that the same shot number could come up 2 times in a row, but it's all random, so we don't know what will happen. But would you like me to proceed, Mark, with your starter shot then, and we'll go from there?
Go for it.
Okay, so the number that you're starting on is number 16,
Wow.
Joe Ledley. So you don't need to answer a question on Joe Ledley. The next 5, you do have to answer a question on the player. But do you want to go higher or lower than a 16 mark to start?
I'll go lower, mate.
Lower than a 16. It is Free Izagiri. That's a good one to get. Okay, so a question on Emilio Izagiri is, in 2015-16 season, Emilio Izagiri was 1 skied penalty kick away from a hat-trick. But who was it against? St Johnstone, Motherwell or Dundee?
Well, is it St Johnstone? I thought it was Partick Thistle. Is it Johnston?
It was Dundee, mate. He did score a goal against Partick Thistle that season in the
6
League
off,
Cup.
wasn't it?
Aye, but he also scored 2 against Dundee, so he was 1 short of a hat-trick. He got a penalty and skied over the bar.
Remember that
Okay,
game.
so Mark, this is a good shot number when it comes to guessing higher or lower. So do you want to, what do you think? Higher or lower than a 3, mate?
Oh, higher.
Higher than a 3 is a 25. It's Stefan Johansson. There's one I think people weren't expecting to come up. So Stefan Johansson, question about him. He departed Celtic, but for which London club? QPR, Fulham or Brentford?
Fulham.
It was Fulham, yes, correct. So higher or lower than a 25, Mark?
Lower.
It's 14. It's Paul Lambert. Okay, question on Lambo is, which Scottish club did Paul Lambert start his managerial career with in 2005? Was it Falkirk, Dunfermline or Livingston?
Livingston.
It was Livingston, yes. Now, this is a bit of a tricky number. Higher or lower than a 14?
We'll go lower again for an 8.
Lower. It's 11. It's Scott Sinclair, yes. Well done. So, his question on Scott Sinclair is, Scott Sinclair played his first game in the English Premier League for which club? Was it Chelsea, Wigan or Swansea City?
I know I get promoted with Swansea, so I'm going to say Swansea.
It was Chelsea, mate. He was a Chelsea youth player initially.
Right.
Aye, so it was Chelsea on that one. He did get promoted with Swansea and did play with them plenty of times, but a few years before, he was at Chelsea. And that's who he made his debut with. So for your final one, Mark, higher or lower than 11? Again, a bit of a tricky number.
Higher.
Oh, it was lower. It's Alan
That's
Thompson, number 8. So, question on Tomo to end it is, while playing for Bolton Wanderers, Alan Thompson played in an English League Cup final, but who was the opposition? Was it Aston Villa, Leeds or Liverpool?
The final, you said?
The final in '95.
Aye, so
It was.
I watched him speak about this in an interview. Aston Villa, Leeds. I don't think it was Leeds. It wasn't Liverpool. So I'm going to say Aston Villa because I think he ended up playing for them or not. Aston Villa.
It was Liverpool, mate.
Was it Liverpool?
Aston Villa and Leeds were in the
Jeez,
final. The next season, he did play for Villa and they did get to an FA Cup final.
Oh,
but
I
for
done badly
Bolton,
there.
they played against Liverpool. So you got 1, 2. So you get 2 questions right, and you get 4. You get the same score as David. You get 4 guesses right in terms of the numbers of the shots, and you get 2 questions right. So you and David Logue are tied on the same score after 2 rounds of.
Oh, that's embarrassing.
By the numbers.
The guy who misquotes Diego Simeone, I got the same points as him.
You did, mate. You did indeed, mate. So, but that is, yeah. Well, David won't feel too bad. But put it this way, Mark. Look at it this way: you're currently joint top of the table and you're joint bottom of the table at the same time. So
I know. It's like Sam Allardyce's England career, isn't it? It's he managed one game, but he won it, didn't he, in the last minute? So I'll take that. To be honest with you, I want to get back on this show because I can do better than that.
Well, if any of you ever want to obviously step up and try, I said that to David last week. I said, if you ever want to redeem yourself, David, by all means, we can have you get another go. But at the moment, yes, you get 2 questions out of the 5 right, but you guessed 4 numbers correctly. And also last week, it was the last one that caught David out. It was a number 8 as well. Number 8 Kyogo was the final shot last week as well. And it was a number 8 again. They caught you out that one. But his was a strange one because his 4th shot was 49, James Forrest, and he guessed higher. And it's like, man, I mean, there is a chance it could come up that way, but the odds of it happening are a bit slimmer. But yeah, it was number 8 Kyogo was the last one.
Above that, there's a few, but as you say, I mean, not very many at all.
It's very stacked in terms of on them.
That's a good format, mate. Well done.
So there you go, lads. So that's another one in the book. So yeah, we will now head off as we're coming up to the hour. So that's another Friday feeling done and dusted, folks. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you're going to the game on Sunday, hopefully you enjoy that as well. And hopefully we're celebrating a nice Celtic victory. There'll be PMP on afterwards. I'll be at the game as well. And I say it is on the TV. I'll probably be able to do Sunday Bladder beforehand with David and that because, it's 2:15 kickoff. So I can probably be on that as well. But yeah, I'll be at the game and then afterwards, say look out for Russell and Terry doing a PMP. And say hopefully, a good Celtic victory. Going to this international break, keeping a lead at the top, and maybe, just maybe, if Livingston do us any favours, the lead could be a bit bigger. But I wouldn't hold my breath on that one. Let's be honest here. But yeah, that's us heading off, guys. So Mark, it was good to see you on a Friday night, mate. Thanks for coming on, mate. It was good to get the judge on a Friday. And Liam, it was good to have you back, mate. I say it's been too long, and hopefully you're the lucky charm to get Alistair Johnson back to his best, mate. And to everyone that watched, thanks for watching. Remember, hit that like button on the way out. We appreciate it massively. And yeah, guys, we will catch you all later. See you, folks.